It's like the most Mercs games in human history.
Yeah, it is.
BTS lead for yourself. Send it, played in. Kevin's gonna have to flash away on Summer. One more! Zeus going back in, and there's your contribution. Mikyx falls the shot fake from Caps. All they can do is buy him a second to wait. The flash charm from Faker. It's all done, it's all over. But the Nexus falling, T1 are gonna go 1-0 up.
T1 saying we're 6-2 against you all year. You think it's gonna go any differently? Not in game one, it's not. And oh my god, can we just talk about the Gragas pick that really glued everything together, not to mention that it was executed flawlessly.
Yeah, I think the big thing with this composition, again, when I'm looking at the difference between T1 shakiness leading up to here to now, is pulling out this composition, knowing exactly how you want to play it, making tweaks like adding the Gragas in. Zeus had a phenomenal game. The Lichbane Ahri from Faker really trying to spread the map and responding super well with this high execution composition to what G2 wanted to do with the Nocturne Orianna combo was really great to see from T1.
And it's really a testament to T1's preparation that they were ready for this combo, because everyone has been talking about how good Nocturne Orianna is once the Auroras and the Yones are banned away. Clearly they were willing to give it up. Initially in draft we're super skeptical, but obviously they did their homework. They brought something that can answer. The Gragas picked the poster child for that, who has made Jhin, a champion that I otherwise really hate, seem much, much better, and also helps bring up some of the damage that an Ahri mid maybe won't otherwise have. Faker didn't go grass. He brought out Lichbane, as you mentioned. So it feels like T1 took the meta that existed, refined it a little bit, and made a lot of picks that have not been looking great look damn good.
Really good.
I think me and Dracos are mad about the Jhin looking good a little bit. You
Very
know?
mad about the Jhin looking
We've been
good.
some Jhin haters over
Jackie
here.
Love versus T1 made one piece of Jhin propaganda that people are holding on a little bit too hard, and it just really hasn't, other than that, hasn't been good. But today it's been different.
I mean, Guma watched it. It was against him, and he said, I can do better. Don't you worry. And he did. But it wasn't just the picks, we have to say that. I mean, the idea of kind of tempo, decision-making, coming into the fights when they had to, asset, execution, Dracos, there is a lot to wax lyrically for T1.
Yeah, and every second counts, and thanks to the rival Cisco network, Faker was able to get there in the nick of time in this replay. And as we take a look, the thing I want to highlight on your mini-map initially right off the bat, Faker not anywhere near, but keep in mind he does have the TP, and we have a perfect TP flank ward here. Already a recipe for disaster. You've seen this so many times.
Oh,
so Arthur,
if
we can roll the clip, we can take a look at how this starts. It's actually not too bad for G2. Hansama gets clipped, but he doesn't get stunned. Mikyx re-engaging here isn't bad. A front-to-back team fight when Hansama is strong is good. You pause, you can see the initial impact of the Nocturne ult is good. They're getting Orianna disrupting on the front. You're making sure that Jhin can't participate on the fight. But the beautiful thing here is that T1 aren't entirely reliant on Jhin for damage output, so it's not going to hurt too bad. Faker, you can see at the bottom of your screen, is already on that flank. And the moment that breaks this, as we take a look at the center of your screen here, is this Gragas ultimate on clear screen. If we can pause it one more time just to highlight what happens, we now have a perfect division on two sides, but Guma is safe and Faker is on the flank. And all of these people for G2, you go, oh, it's 3 people, it's going to be great. Ori has no ult. Nocturne has no ult. None of those people matter. The one person that matters is all here, all on his lonesome on the side. We can play out the rest of the clip. You know what happens. And the second that Hansama isn't free to auto-attack, you know how much damage he's doing. There's no room for G2 to play this out. Mikyx tries to make a heroic effort to save the fight, but in a sustained damage battle, when Guma is able to just flash away to regroup with his team, T1 completely demolished. And the fact that they get double value. Gragas splits G2, which means Guma can flash into River. He doesn't have to flash any further back into the rest of the G2 team. River would normally be a death sentence, but this Gragas creates so much space and disrupts these fights so effortlessly. I think we're seeing this pick a lot more.
Creating space mentioned for Hansama. It's really one of those, oh, you probably wonder how I ended up in this position. And T1 says, no, we knew you were going to end up in this position. And I think, Emily, something you were also mentioning a lot is that because T1 sees how the game is going to play out, G2 had to use their Nocturne ult defensively a lot, and that puts T1 in a great position.
Yeah, it's like Dracos mentioned, they're not as reliant on the Jhin as you would be in other like Jhin compositions. But then also, like, the way that they recognized how they wanted to disrupt what G2 wanted to do with this kind of instant burst from the Nocturne Orianna and be able to reposition with stuff like the Gragas and then on top of that the Ahri was so crucial in a lot of these fights. And I can't understate the coordination from T1 is, again, not something that they were as strong at in the lead up here. So to see this now from then could be a harbinger of doom for other
Couldn't
teams.
we play them in the best of ones, man?
Wait, we just lost. It would have just been over. What are you talking about? We just lost the best of ones. This is the thing that I think is genius, is because obviously both comps have a similar identity in the terms of like Ahri wants to set up picks. You have this Nocturne Orianna combo to start a fight off favorably, but usually whoever goes first is favored. And the really big difference again is that Greg Assault, because you can reset a fight. So T1 get in, they get their cooldowns off first. G2 then go, all right guys, it's our turn, but it's not. The Gragas stops that from happening.
Yeah, sovereign game from T1 in game 1. And I know there's like 2 LEC casters there and 1 NA. So Kobe, can you give them like a rallying cry? Can you give them, I don't know, some hope?
Can you give us all a rallying cry, actually?
I was trying to give him some
Lisa,
hope, you know.
please.
I've got a very large stock of hopium. I would say you don't want it to be a best of one, because to Draco's point, yeah, you'd already be going home. So that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
If you lose this one, we'll just increase it to a best of 5.
And it's a 2-2 after this, right? So
That's true.
G2 aren't eliminated. That's where my hopium's coming from. I'm kind of in this series, I just want to see good League of Legends mentality. And next series, you know, when we match up against FlyQuest,
Keep your camera on Zeus then. You know, just go to the pro view of Zeus, because he truly was magnificent in game number 1. You know, it got to start off all flashy with killing Hansama, who the Draven had just cashed in, just bought, was like filled with you know, courage, and kind of played him a little bit there by the tower. But then also the team play that came in, Zeus was just such a big part of it here in each and every team fight.
And I think T1's team fighting has been absolutely exceptional. Worlds, you think back to their game against BLG where they win that 4 versus 5 at Baron. Now they're completely separating out fights to butcher G2 where they stand. And G2, they are opting back in towards the blue side, sticking to the same band. So I'm curious if we get a very similar, hey, we're just going to run it back and try and be better coordinated on some of these dives.
I would say number 1 adjustment, because they're still, you know, banning the Kalista and Renata, but yeah, they add the Skarner here. I think a bigger thing was blind picking their Jax. Like versus T1, this team is so good at counter picking because both Keria and Zeus really benefit from it. And so you don't really want to blind pick any of your early matchups and just kind of go the normal route, which is you just go jungle and then, I mean, I guess if there's a priority on one of the Caps champions, but you could just go your bottom lane and not really reveal too much there.
I am always a little nervous though when I see Oner on Vi, because he has been exceptional on this pick. I was even talking to Chronicler yesterday and he was saying how happy and thrilled he is to see Oner really stepping up on the world stage, and I think a lot of that has been his counter ganks on the Vi, being able to turn around quick plays, and we saw in the last game how good T1 were with that. So we'll have to see if G2 are able to contend with it as they go back towards the Orianna and now going for the blind Gnar in the top lane instead.
I do think Gnar is a better blind. Like Gnar has been so versatile, and we've seen so many, you know, very strong Gnars so far at the tournament. We'll see if that's enough of an adjustment.
It does open up the Rumble if we want to see that from Zeus in the top lane. We went all the way through picks and bans in game 1. Jax as well. It's more of a skill matchup, but Jax will start to take it over as the game goes on.
Personally, I do like the Rumble with the Vi, just because you do get that equalizer Vi-ult combo, but they're going to go back towards the Jax and try and have more of a threat on towards the side lane, which can always work out incredibly well, especially when you see that Orianna already.
I think maybe the adjustment is that Rumble does sometimes struggle against Nocturne because your ultimate, you can't get full value. You know, sometimes it's really hard to see the perfect placement. So maybe that's what he was thinking, not wanting to play team fights and having to work around that. Whereas Jax is definitely a bit easier, but again,
yeah, something we saw a lot at MSI from Mikyx. That Halo Blade's Poppy was causing problems. We also saw it from BrokenBlade in the top lane in matchups into the Cassante. Braum once again banned away by G2. They really don't want that unbreakable shield to have so much presence in the bot lane.
I am surprised to see the Poppy though, because traditionally it's like, hey, a counter to the Jax, right? But you've already got the Gnar. And you're more than likely again going to see this counter pick for Keria. So I think Poppy only really works in that counter pick role. So I think if you end up taking Poppy, you could have gone back towards Nico or something and had this really devastating bot lane.
I agree with you, but I think with the prevalence of lane swaps, there's always the possibility the Poppy just gets to be out on the map and you've lane swapped away from it, right? So I do get you. I think
but it's
Poppy
only
is
for a short while.
True.
Right? So.
I think Poppy is more specific for counter matchups, but you already have 3 dashes on your team. You try and want to stop the Poppy from having too much impact. There's the Xayah band away. G2 once again looking for that dive onto Gumayusi strategy.
Exactly. They're very clear about this. They're trying to ban out anything defensive for the bottom lane. G2 really want to go very aggressive down there and kind of fight T1 on their own terms, honestly. So let's see what T1 do this time around. Very similar, just going to lock up the Jhin first.
I wonder if it is then just going to be the Draven Leona take. I know we went Nautilus last game, but personally I think the Leona was kind of a little bit more helpful in being able to set up for this non-committal engage and some of the follow-up that could work with the Orianna Nocturne, even just denying that access thanks to that solar flare on the follow-up for that combo.
Counterpoint, Mickey really did fund the Nautilus death toll. That was like 8 or 9?
I have Nautilus as my pick as well, so I don't mind the Nautilus.
Sorry, lads, yeah,
Mickey juiced the Nautilus death fund for sure. He was in there.
Instead, it is Kai'Sa over that Draven. Hansama on Draven 2-6 internationally, even though he has about 62% history on it all time. So here, going for something that has long-range poke that can be okay in the lane as well, can get the push without a Cathian Rain, and now Mickey, oh, we're going back to the Nautilus. It gives you a great knockup. The ultimate is very powerful and is non-committal. The problem is the hook is committal, and that's what Mickey was using a lot of the time.
And this is just so all-in dive. It is so threatening. Again, even in Champ Select previously, we're like, wow, it's probably going to be very hard for Guma to play the game. And it would have been if it weren't for a really good teammate peel and set up on those team fights. This time around, T1 do not have the Gragas cast to disrupt G2. And they are still going to be vulnerable to these Orianna Nocturne combinations that now even have a bit better of follow-up with Kai'Sa on the team.
But I think as well, you've just got so much pressure on towards Caps in the mid lane with T1 now. It was the Skarner trying to play off the Ahri in the last game. Vi, significantly easier to try and set up for those plays. So I think there's going to need to be a lot more vision around this mid lane to support Caps. And it is going to be a little bit difficult to try and get that with Mickey having roam timers to try and facilitate any sort of player in the mid. So I think T1 have a easy to execute early game into what was traditionally just a side lane split push from the last game.
And here we see compositions once again rounded out for G2 and T1. T1 one game away from making it to Paris 5 years ago. We were last in Europe for Worlds. It was G2 that denied them that opportunity. It was for finals. G2 obviously going on and losing 0-3 to FPX, but for T1 and for Faker, it's been a long road home. Managing to win last year, managing to overcome Weibo after falling just short against DRX, and now looking for Faker's 5th. For T1's 5th, what an accomplishment that would be. Faker, actually, if he wins this game, has 100 wins at Worlds, which is 40 more than any other player, which is just an astronomically large gap. For G2, obviously, you're at 2-1, you do have another series after this, but last year, things started collapsing after this sort of point. We all know, NRG beating G2 in that 2-2
I saw
series.
you giving me the side eye there.
You don't want to be in that spot.
Sorry.
I mean, you shouldn't be. NRG played better.
Honestly, though, on your point for this T1 roster too, remember back to last year and their run and all of the interviews talking about, they thought that this roster would even break up, probably. So I've just been so happy to continue to follow this roster throughout the year, and for them to really start peaking again here at Worlds again would just be such a cool story for them. Let's see about the level 1, though. That was not a cool story for Mickey last time. He's getting the heck out of there.
Yeah, I do think, though, like T1 was kind of on everyone's bingo card as the team that was probably most favored coming into Worlds with the big meta shift, right? Faker being able to go back towards champions. He really enjoys like the Orianna and the Ahri, these control mages in the mid lane, and then Zeus being able to again play through carry tops. Oner being that facilitator and setup. Like you think back to how strong he was on picks like the Rel with these flash over the Ash arrows into that big crash down to win tournaments for T1. So this feels like T1 starting to drift back into what made them so potent and what turned them into multi-champion world championship title holders.
No lane swaps here, Kobe. I know you're quite happy about that fact. Zeus trading with BrokenBlade, both of them gone grasp in this top lane, so expect a lot of that, hitting each other with your handbags, just trying to get that extra health.
Yeah, and of course my favorite part about standard lanes, non-lane swaps, is that junglers actually get more choices. And you have a lot of options. When the bottom lanes like this, from Champ Select, you're just like, are so willing to make it spicy. And then you also have a top lane matchup like Gnar, where Zeus is trying to harass early on, push the wave, chunk the mini Gnar while he's very vulnerable there. I just feel like there's so much more skill expression for junglers in particular during non-lane swaps. That is just, it's just more exciting skill expression.
There's a lot of skill expression in PvE. All right, you can do a lot to get your
There is skill expression in lane swaps as well. It's just very different.
Hits him with the Vault Breaker. Caps doesn't flash away. Oner doesn't burn his flash either, but Caps now at 100 HP. Does have the TP to get back that wave. Not in a good state for him.
And this is what I was talking about from draft. It's significantly easier for Oner to, again, just go for this transitional gank, pick off Caps, and completely turn the lane in favor of Faker. And now it becomes incredibly difficult for G2 to try and set up, because Yike wants to just free farm until 6. If you end up putting pressure on towards mid lane as this Nocturne and Oner shows up, that could be an absolute disaster, but he's trying to do so nice and early.
Caps flashes away from the charm. Does spring it out from Yike for a little bit of extra movement speed on the chase. Faker here might have to flash because Yike is looking for that fear. Gets the red buff slow, but he doesn't know where Oner is, so has to back away.
Exactly. You can't over chase in those situations, running past those mid lane brush, and so it is in the end gonna be the advantage there with the flash. So we'll see about repeat ganks, because the #1 most obvious thing in the entire game is Vi plus Ahri. Level 6, guess what? You're dead. And now Caps does not have his flash. We'll see about the timer for it to come back up, but that is a huge, huge alarm that goes off and kind of changes your mid lane vision priority. Like, you constantly have to keep track of it. And even look at this path from Oner, who sweeps around through the tri-brush to come steal away your second Raptor spawn. Whenever mid lane matchup is a big point, the mid lane steal away of Raptors for junglers is always a very, very high objective, because that allows you to continue to camp around mid lane without dropping resources.
Oner looking for that gank once again. Caps on dissonance himself and has enough movement speed to get back to the safety of the tower.
Yeah, Faker was pushing at the wave. He wants to try and reset, but I was a little nervous when I saw Oner taking those Raptors, because immediately you can just go in towards that mid lane, and if Caps is trying to play aggressive to deny Faker's reset, that could be where he punished, but didn't end up going that too far forward. And now it's Oner moving back up towards his top side for his own camps respawning to make sure that he's going to keep this little bit of camp lead thanks to that Raptor steal.
Yeah, and of course Yike on the opposite side, doing some similar stuff there. They got the ward onto the second spawn of T1 Raptors, so it will see Oner's positioning.
I think Oner, Zenith Blade's going to go on to Mikyx here, tries to dredge line away. The chase continues as Hansama tries to put some damage back onto Gumayusi. Mikyx down to 200 HP, Hansama stunned as well. The hook wide there from Mikyx. Trying to set up perhaps for Yike to come in for a fight.
I think Yike might have even been a little bit too far away to follow up on that, so it may have been a blessing in disguise that one went a little bit wide. So Gumayusi will get the lane pushed in. Hans, I think, right call to stop the reset and actually pick up this wave, because Oner is going to be on that top half of the map. But yeah, I think this is still a nice little win for the T1 bot lane in the 2v2.
Yeah, much better than game 1 for them. We did see Oner topping the stats for most of the junglers here at Worlds so far. I think coming into this series, Oner would have been my standout player for T1. Yep. Zeus, after game 1, kind of puts his name in the hat as well. But Oner, I think, has just been so consistent for T1 here at Worlds.
Especially on the Vi pick. Like, you think back to their game against BLG, where BLG were consistently trying to make plays on sides, but it was Oner showing up. Now you get Yike, who's trying to hover around mid with Mikyx, and it's Oner in position alongside Keria. It was kind of this duo that was such a threat in the early stages to deny a lot of these early leads, or accelerating some of the early gold leads that teams have picked up against them. So it's great to see Oner firing on all cylinders, but it's terrifying if you're a G2 fan.
Interesting sequence of movements here. T1 sending Zeus down towards the bot lane, where Caps has gone to try and push out that wave. G2 brought Hans and Mikyx into mid to try and get the shove there as well. The problem for G2 is if they do look for an engage, Zeus still has the TP where Caps does not. So this could very quickly turn into a 5v4. BrokenBlade very low on rage as well, starting to build it up as he jumps onto Oner. He's only a third of the way there so far. Oner going lower though, Dustbringer coming out, double flash as Mikyx looks for the flash hook. Meanwhile in the bot lane, Caps trading up with Zeus. Keria going back in, Faker with the Spirit Rush, has 2 charges left. G2 need to get away because Faker can look for another Spirit Rush, another Orb of Deception. Won't find too much more. G2 start up the grubs. They're quite hurt though. Half HP on Yike. BrokenBlade building up towards that Mega, looking for a Gnar into the wall if anyone advances through that choke point.
I love G2's calls there, playing for damage. You saw Caps down here actually poking out Zeus, and then immediately jumping on the 2 separated in river to just play for some health bars to be able to get yourselves the objectives first. The small chunks in damage allow them the opening. Again, a 3 grub start here for G2.
We'll have to see if they can try and keep that pressure up, because you can see how hard T1 were fighting to try and deny them. But a nice shot from Caps as well on that bottom side, because one of the big things that, as Medic was alluding to, the potential TP, but Caps puts pressure on towards Ace to deny that opportunity to try and come in. And T1 were trying to be sneaky against BrokenBlade there, but the ward just spots them out.
Okay, start for G2. T1, though, will still be relatively happy with the position they're in. They have a slight gold lead for Zeus. They have a slightly larger gold lead for Gumayusi on this Jhin, and they really start to come online when they get that first item, second item. Now, both level 6 on Oner and 7 on Faker means they have that cease and desist Spirit Rush combination. Caps his flash back up for G2, makes him a little safer in a side lane. Doesn't have the TP yet, though, and it looks like he's going to shove out one more lane on the bottom side.
I mean, I'm not even trying to give you guys coke.
Don't do it, man.
I mean,
we want good League of Legends.
No, you're off. No more talking.
Shox told me to, but I legit actually prefer the G2 comp side with the small adjustments that they made in this game. So because they have the actual versatility of the Kaisa for later, and because this time the top lane matchup is Gnar versus the Jax instead, doesn't have to worry about the disruption from the Gragas. I actually really like the little adjustments here. So for the sake of the fans as well who want more excitement,
I mean, it would be much more exciting if G2 are able to take this game, and obviously, as LEC casters, we are slightly biased in that regard, but continue to watch the game and just want the best League of Legends we can see. T1 here will be able to get the Drake. G2 really shouldn't fight this, because BrokenBlade TP'd up to the top lane only a few moments ago. If they try to invest, obviously Zeus can join the battle, and they would be at a numbers disadvantage again. They won't battle against it. See Yike just hovering Hansama and Mikyx in case anything does happen, but with Gumu and Keria backing away, just going to be this wave getting shoved out.
Big question will be, can T1 with the Ahri plus the Vi here find themselves a pick? Already, you see the bottom lane moving up. One of the biggest objectives when you do have Vi Ahri is to try and control the vision between the river here, so you can have these alleyways where you go for those picks and then you get to turn them into extra pressure on the map. And so Keria and Guma also doing their part in that, trying to keep it clean from bottom lane. You see the control wards all the way up through the river, warding up here too as well. And so Caps, I mean, he has had confidence this game in his movement, which has definitely been very key, and his flash cooldown that was actually blown has gone unpunished. So at least they're doing quite well on that front.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how T1 are going to open up on the map now, because there is a way that they can immediately shift Gumayusi in towards mid and try and make some sort of play on towards Caps with the curtain call, especially when you've only got 50 seconds until those Void Grubs are up. But it looks like they're just going to shift Faker up towards that top side. I wasn't sure if they just went all in on trying to burn that flash, but Mikyx...
Oh, Faker goes in with the Spirit Rush, the Charm landing as well, and Mikyx is done for. First blood in the first 2 games. Mikyx dies, Oner takes the kill.
Vi Ahri, pretty good at getting picks because they can jump over walls there, but also, you know, props to Mikyx keeping up with the Nautilus Death Fund. That's one more for us. I do as well have that.
Double ults burnt. Like, you've now burnt both Faker's ult and Oner's ult right before the Void Grub spawn. So I'm not going to say it was a planned good death, but could actually work out as a decent death here for G2 when they do actually go to try and contest on towards those next round of Void Grubs.
It's interesting because BrokenBlade doesn't have teleport, but Oner's actually heading towards BrokenBlade rather than the Void Grubs.
Yes, looking for this play down towards the bottom side. BrokenBlade flashes immediately met with a fist in his face. BrokenBlade trying to get away from this. Obviously, has to try and escape from Oner, who flashes forward. Another Vault Breaker. BrokenBlade trying to dodge it. Oner holds it forever. Oner finds another as BrokenBlade can't escape his clutches.
There was no escape there. Oner waiting over the wall. BrokenBlade tried to sidestep it, but good call from Oner, just hold on. But still on the opposite side, Void Grubs galore. And it will be, I imagine Zeus starting to put a bit of pressure here to answer for some of the third places. Faker, no way he catches Mikyx again.
You put everyone on pause when you said that. Everyone's like...
Oh, Mikyx looking for the hook here. So Yike can come in with the paranoia. There's the depth charge as well. The chase forward. Keria has joined his mid laner. Faker flashes away. The ignite ticking on him won't be enough. There's the stun into the shield of the daybreak into the solar flare into the death of Yike. Rob, your no was heard around Europe. They were so close, but they just couldn't quite find the damage to kill off Faker.
Oh, I'm heartbroken. We were so close. Mikyx, though.
Another Zenith blade. Oner has cease and desist here, but I don't think she might just be coming off cooldown. Decides against going for it. TP to the top lane by Faker as well. G2 will walk away wounded and 1.6k behind.
Oh man, Faker with one of his getaways. Regardless, Mikyx should be able to get out here with just the Gromp steal for Oner, but man, Another one, this is a big investment too, as we'll take a look. You mentioned the ultimates used to kill Mikyx. Now it's kind of the reverse situation, and Faker did get that little, sight of Mikyx. So good vision toggle by the observers.
And then the engage comes through from Mikyx, and it's a nice setup. Keria here to try and help, but bot side.
Oh, Zeus flashes away. He's hit with a house. And Caps and BrokenBlade find a kill. Keria's looking to collapse here as well as Gumayusi, but this tower is already quite low, down to one plate remaining on it. Keria going in with the Zenith Blade. Gumayusi there with a deadly flourish as well. BrokenBlade still pretty tanky though. Yike's here to join the fray. Has the paranoia. Can't go into Guma, but there's a flash and a barrier on that AD carry, making it a little bit more suspect to go for the dive. Mikyx and Hansa are starting to collapse, and this will be first tower over to G2.
Faker even dropped off that top tower, trying to move down to see if he can cover the mid lane, so then G2 can't always just push in towards mid as well. But so much of this early game has been about these cross maps. The Void grubs for the bot player towards BrokenBlade and getting a ton of plays on towards Zeus, and then you see Faker in the top half of the map, so G2 make the bot half play, but now because G2 are on the bot side, Zeus TP's top to get the top turret as well. A huge amount of this go back and forth thanks to these plays.
Still, I think it's a hugely beneficial kind of response from G2 because they get their bonus first turret gold as well, and those are the types of plays where you really want to see the reset and kind of set up for it on the other side, but they jump on it and they get the small benefit even though they have had a couple of speed bumps here, are able to get a little bit more gold.
And now you've got first items almost complete across the board. It's only BB who has that reset that he can go for and the teleport back in, but I'm curious now what you want to do. Both Dragon and Rift Herald up and available. I think T1 going to focus up towards Rift Herald, which is probably right against the Chem Drake, and G2 going to see maybe if they can make some sort of play, but there's no tower for BB and he's so far extended.
See the lane economy snapshot brought to you by MasterCard. Very much in favor of Oner. No big surprises there. BrokenBlade trying to hide in the top lane. He's going to TP away. Will he escape? You can see it on the minimap. The Counter-Strike finds him alongside the cease and desist, and BrokenBlade doesn't have a hope in hell of escaping this one. Zeus leaps on his face and takes another 4-1 now to T1.
It's interesting that they have such a bounty on BrokenBlade's head, it feels like. Not in a literal sense, but they've got a target on his back. T1 keep on going for these assassination attempts onto BrokenBlade. It's almost like when they gave up the 6 grubs, they were saying, you are not going to have a split pusher that can use these. We're going to make sure of it because while we did give up the 6 grub buff, we killed BrokenBlade when we did that, and then we're going to keep looking for kills on him and try and really put that Gnar behind to the point that Zeus is going to be able to control side lanes. Faker is going to be able to
Another
get
charm hits once again. Mikyx thought he was safe in his own jungle, but there is nowhere safe from T1, and this is the moment in the game, in Game 1, where we saw T1 begin to explode it away from G2's grasp. You can see already 2,500 gold ahead. Now with the Rift Herald charging through mid, they're going to open up the map and make it so much more tricky for G2 to do anything. Charm wide there by Faker, but he's just creating space. The Solar Flare hits. Hansama has to burn the cleanse, and Zeus is on the flank. The counter-strike, Hansama flashes it. Rift Herald charge forward. Zona can jump across that wall and look for Hansama. Yike with a fear, only onto Zeus. They're looking for the damage. The Shockwave will find him. Hansama surviving up towards the top side for as long as he can in the face of Oner, but now he's down and Keria is down alongside him. G2 find 2. They lose their mid-tier 1. Can they find anything more? I think the answer's no for now.
That darkness was crucial for G2. Being able to dodge, duck, dip dive and dodge in the darkness away from everyone was beautiful. And it meant that they got the turnaround onto Keria and Zeus, even with Mikyx missing the flash hook.
Yeah, Zeus wanted to play the tether range on the fear there, and he was just a little bit off and got locked in. Nice shockwave from Caps ended up getting him, but here's another look at the start, and they're trying to go for the dive. They even get the Rift Herald knock up there on the Caps passing through, but right there, Zeus does not quite break the tier feather, and that is enough to allow Caps to get a good shockwave. Then you have the desync from T1 as Keria goes back in, while the rest of them are kiting away. It still actually cost them the life of Hansama though, so in the end it was just a little like 1 extra kill.
And both of the summoners from Hansama as well. Zeus has his flash, has that counter-strike for a next engagement. 2 minutes 50 on the next Drake means it's likely to be a little while before we see that battle beginning.
I will say though, for G2, even though it is just some gold, it is into the hands of Caps, and that's where exactly where you want it. The big shockwave plays are going to be the ones that you need to try and leverage yourself back into this game. You have the Nocturne delivery. We'll see if they're able to make something. It won't be now because, of course, they're splitting and trying to grab tower first.
I think it still will be a little tough for G2 though, because Caps has gone for this more defensive build. Upping in towards the Zhonya's first means he doesn't really have that big firepower. I think it's the correct way to go because there's a lot of threat here with the dive from Oner and Faker and even Keria being able to follow up, but it does mean that you just lack that oomph in your ultimate for this Orianna.
At the moment, T1 in control of the game, about 3,000 gold ahead. A Drake apiece means there's no soul point soon, but we see Caps pushing in the top lane and the TP behind. Zeus on the collapse, has the flash, Caps goes one way, Zeus goes the other, now he tracks back, knowing that Caps is there. The paranoia coming out as Mikyx and Yike look to collapse, a flash away from the shockwave from Zeus is gorgeous. And once again, Zeus in this series puts G2 in their place.
T1 have been doing such a good job of collecting G2 members on these side lanes. Every time they step up, there's a TP behind. They're punishing the overextensions, and that's twice now on that top lane that the solo laners of G2 have been caught.
Yeah, that one was a little bit questionable. I know that they also have Gnar pushing on bottom side, but after Caps took the first tower on top side and then pushed the next wave, you kind of thought that was going to be the moment for him to actually back off, but the deep ward allows Zeus the ability to pincer. And
the only thing I can think of is a potential Zhonya's completion. He wanted just one more wave to finish that because he's fairly close, it would seem, but still I think very greedy for him.
We'll see.
There's always that mental edge of T1 just took our tier 2 in the bot lane, let's at least get a chunk on their tier 2 in the top lane as well. As you say, Zhonya's almost there for Caps. One item as well on Hansama, two though on Gumayusi on that Jhin. Is the Mosquito build, but Jhin's have been doing quite a lot of work with it at this Worlds anyway. T1 trying to gain control of this bot side jungle. Their vision control has been pretty solid so far. Mikyx almost caught out, has to blast cone away. No safety in towers in that bot lane. Only the inhibitor tower still remains there for him. 30 seconds on the Mountain Drake, and T1 have control of the Rift.
Okay, Hansama, if they could wait a little bit and buy some time for his flash to get up, it's not a lot of time that they need. But it would be very impactful for the next team fight.
It's only 20 seconds.
He did just complete his Rage Blade, so they definitely have some really good looks here.
BB's just finished his Mega now and he's gone in.
He still gets the Gnar into the wall. The backline, Gumayusi flashes away. The shockwave, I think we're maybe a little bit early there as BrokenBlade is forced low. Spirit Rush forward by Faker as T1 begins to collapse. And Mikyx burst on the menu again. Faker with a Spirit Rush across the wall, looking for Yike. No curtain call connects, and G2 are able to walk away.
Great target selection from T1. They see that BrokenBlade is about to go mini Gnar, immediately engage onto him, and Gumayusi, the perfect timing on the flash. Caps doesn't get the shockwave onto him, and T1 are able to win out on the fight.
Just massive from T1. As you say, that flash timing from Gumayusi, absolutely perfect. They're looking for the third Drake. Oner will go back towards it. They were just kind of checking to make sure that G2 hadn't snuck towards the Baron to try and take that away, while T1 were getting themselves to 2 dragons in this game.
Timing really has been the biggest advantage for T1. I feel like not only the defensive kind of timing there with the flash, but also they never hesitate on their engages. When you watch this T1 roster, when they're at their best, it is always these very quick, flashy engages that they do not hesitate on, and they punish you immediately. I mean, right there even, they jumped to, as soon as they saw their first target in River, immediately go for it, and pincer from the other side as well. It feels like this T1 are a bit more locked in, and they are not going to leave any openings for you.
And this is the T1 that a lot of fans wanted to see coming into Worlds, right? A team that can be proactive in the early stages, play through a strong lane jungle, have that pressure down towards sides, and then start to cross-map really effectively. Their team fights have been outstanding this event, and it's everything else now that is starting to level up against G2 here as well.
Doctor, you're also mentioning the Vi for Oner, which has already been good for him
pretty good.
At Worlds. It continues to be very, very good for Oner at Worlds, and you know that's the exact execution that you want. Faker now as well finishes Storm Surge, 6 stacks on his Dark Seal, so there's plenty of potential damage behind these quick reactions from T1. Now they're going to split into their 4-1 split push first. Zeus down there on the bottom side. G2 have the possibilities of trying to put pressure on the split push, but because T1 have the extra leverage now. It's just hard for them to even gain control of the mid wave first, and so then you can't really afford to send anything down at Zeus because they will jump on that Baron. This is T1, you know they will go for it.
That's what I was going to say. It's not a very quick Baron take from T1, right? So I think it's more, as you can see, like losing side lane turrets for investing on that bottom side. And again, T1 playing off wave states excellently, pushing mid, catching out G2, and now G2 trying to move in mid, but they could get collapsed on from behind.
There's a pincer movement brewing here.
Teleport.
See the TP behind, that's
Faker.
Faker. Counter TP being used by BrokenBlade. Curtain Call coming in as the stopwatch is used. Dion onto the backline, jumps Gumayusi, a good shockwave as well onto Zeus. And now we see Hansama having to try and get away from this. Oner going in as he puts the damage down onto Caps. Oner flashing away, Zeus the same. The killer instinct from Hansama gets Zeus in response. Now Faker diving around the fight, a hook coming out. BrokenBlade trying to get into the Gnar. He'll jump on their heads. Guma stopped them. Faker escaping. Keria slammed into the wall. On the top side, Yike killed off Gumayusi. And G2 somehow find a fight.
Only Faker gets out alive. G2 are going to get some extra money with the tower mid, and Faker just barely does so. BrokenBlade hunting for him, but he's not going to find the hiding spot. G2 strike back.
T1 thought that they were going to be able to collapse, but look how long it takes them to get in. The TP from Faker down towards the bottom side, whereas as Zeus goes in, the stopwatch from Caps buys a bunch of time. G2 able to punish Zeus, and also then immediately like jumping on towards the Jhin at the top side. Buys a ton of time for Hansama to escape away. The target selection for Oner is to go into Caps, but Hansama diving in towards the back line obliterates the duo there. And then Faker, as he tries to go in, I think BrokenBlade, the jump went on to Keria. Oh no, yeah, I think he went on to Keria instead, not being able to get that final proc, but still, they're able to win out on the fight. Faker barely escaping.
Wow.
Looking at each other's screens as well during the paranoia to get that little bit of extra vision. I love they're not using the shockwave, but immediately they do. Paranoia in, Faker down, solo play onto the backline as well. We see Hansama falling for it. Mikyx trying to get into this fight. BrokenBlade on his way across as well. Keria, Oner there as well with Gumayusi trying to get away. Doesn't have the flash. Oner doesn't. Keria goes back in with the Zenith Blade. He's a sacrifice. A sacrificial lamb for G2. As there's two more on the board for them.
Keep the pace up. G2, they do not let you rest. Firing off play after play after play. You saw it earlier where even on a failed play, they were immediately able to get back onto the map. But this time around, they do it after a successful one. Hansama, he had just a few seconds left on his ultimate. They still got the advantage though. And I have to say, the Nocturne going so deep in both of these plays. This is the real key playmaker here. In the previous one, soloing out Gumayusi, finding him isolated. See if G2 can keep this up, because T1 still with the gold advantage and still with the better play on the map.
It is still the four people here. As you can see, BB and Nautilus and Mikyx trying to come down from the top side. So they're able to burst out Hansama, and it's about now trying to buy time for the top laner and support to come in. But Dragon is now up in 30 seconds, and that's where we're going to be looking at the next pace. And BB doesn't have the control at top. Wave on bot pushing in against G2. They have to sort out side lanes before they can really contest this.
So I'm really glad they actually got to show us the beginning of the play, because I was under the impression
G2 had just pulled the trigger.
When it jumped back to us, I was under the impression that G2 were the ones starting out, but it's actually Faker who went forward, and Yike just tried to punish him. So let's see about the next Dragon setup here as they move in. T1 once again full access to the river first. G2 are forced to make a decision here. Is it going to be a dangerous face check, or are they going to try and get control of the mid wave first?
Mikyx looking for the hook. There's the charm. Deadly Flush going in. Oner looking for that back line. The solo player hits two. Paranoia coming out. Oner can't go in with the engage. Zeus now locked out. Pops the stopwatch to buy himself a little bit of time. He's feared though. The shockwave hits onto Oner as he looks for the engage. Goes in with the cease and desist. The Guardian Angel still sitting on Oner's shoulders. Will bring him back to life. BrokenBlade with a good double Gnar into the wall. Oner trying to get back in with that shield from the Vault Breaker. But he will fall. Faker can't escape BrokenBlade. Gumayusi now trying to dance his way away. But the eyes are on Keria for G2. They're looking for one more. Gumayusi will have the fleet. Will have the move speed from this Jhin. BrokenBlade chucks a house out, can't quite land it onto Guma's back. Caps with the dissonance, there's the slow from the red buff. They dodge the captive audience, and Guma's down two. An ace for G2.
G2 are coming alive. This combo finally working out for them. And Caps in the middle of that use the darkness to hide the Orianna ball in the brush as T1 went to walk forward, and it catches them out completely unaware.
Their team fighting is just so much better this time around with the small adjustments that they made from game number one. Zeus does have his teleport ready here, but
he's not going to go for it.
You have to think that it's still going to be a G2 Baron.
You said it in game one, Kobe. G2 great at fighting from behind, and here we see them coming to life in Berlin, looking to get themselves to 1-on-1 against T1 in this quarterfinals qualification match.
But you can see the difference that Zeus is having when he doesn't have the Gragas and that big ultimate. He's trying to play in the front line and get involved, but it just doesn't have that same effect. And as the darkness comes through, they're able to buy space then. Zeus has to go in, goes golden, but watch the Orianna ball. It moves in towards the bush, then sets up for that big shockwave as well. And it's after that, again, just moving back, buying space here as BB using that ultimate, clears out 2 members, and it's G2 constantly rotating this front line to block spells, block abilities, until BrokenBlade is just able to take over in the back line.
Yeah, T1 could not pressure Caps there. Caps actually just taking over on the Ori. Really good kite back from G2, and then pushing forward on the transformation of the Gnar as well. Now with the Baron buff, they can get so many rewards. Tier 2 tower doesn't stand a chance. That's another 800 gold for the team, immediately picked up. Void Mites from their 6 Void Grubs spawning out.
Faker being forced back to the fountain, has the flash, has the TP, but G2 are trying to open up the base. Oner looking for that flank. His GA not back off cooldown yet, about half the way forward. Inhibitor tower and inhibitor for G2 in the top lane. They take a gold lead for the first time in what feels like the series, at least in the last 30 minutes or so. They'll all reset. BrokenBlade was adding pressure in the mid lane. Drake still 4 minutes away. G2 have a minute and a half of this Red Bull Baron power play to really try to put the screws into T1.
So, earlier, when you didn't have hope, I was trying to give you guys hope. Now,
Take it away. Take it away.
Now,
it started to bubble.
We are close to Faker getting a death cap on a very iconic champion for him, the Ahri here. So I think that is going to be one of T1's main goals, to get the death cap for Faker and then have one of these kind of classic Faker plays to try and pull out a big pick and dissect G2 as they're looking to push in, as Geotor are looking to close the loop here on T1. You know, they already have topside taken care of with the inhibitor. Now with the Baron buff, it's very easy to 4-1 split push. But will T1 be able to pull something magical out?
Well, they're trying to. Zeus is in this top side trying to shove in. They sent Ahri to try and help him out, so looking to go for that cross map. Just G2 though, dropping, only playing off of 2 waves. Now the reset comes through for BrokenBlade. He has no TP, so T1 maybe looking for the TP ward that's right in behind them. At the moment, you can just see it on the back of your screens, but G2, they end up rolling away, don't want to overextend.
That ward had my heart in my mouth for a second because you could see it. Zeus TP's in, catches a couple of stragglers off the reset. G2 will just take a tier 2 in the bot lane. 4,000 gold lead for them as well. 3 items on Hans Sommer alongside that Seeker's Arm Guard. 3 on Caps, but the king has got his crown. Death cap completed for Faker. It may be heavy, but Faker was the one that stepped up at MSI in that 5-game series to deny G2 Game 5. Will it be Faker again to deny G2 a chance of making quarterfinals today?
Fitting he also has the ring to match the World Championship ring, you know? Yeah.
I will say, though, this G2 comp, with the small changes that they made, they're so much more durable. And you see not only the Sterix Gauge that was on Yike here on this Nocturne.
Wait, Mikyx flashed into a wall and hooked?
Never seen that before, eh?
No. I think he was looking for the
see it
flash.
either. I never saw what he did, actually. It's just crazy.
Back to Yike, though, he's also got a Guardian Angel. So, you know, Yike is going to be able to go deep, and Caps has been able to stay so safe with his Zhonya's in the back line, just constantly providing so much threat. So we'll see here. You even have another stasis built by Hans Sommer. It's just so durable for G2. They're just bullying them.
Solar Flare, Hans Sommer dodges, only gets slowed. BrokenBlade goes in with an arm only onto Oner. Zeus is TP'd in behind, and he dives onto Hans Sommer immediately. And Hans Sommer has the stopwatch, but he doesn't have much life left afterwards. He manages to get away with a kill of instinct, but Mikyx and Caps are only down. Oner face past the wall this time. BrokenBlade left it to his own devices, and T1 clean him up. The flash in from Zeus with a counter-strike. Mikyx trying to dredge line his way out of this one, but Faker's on the chase, as is Keria. And Mikyx, those hooks are sending you to Davy Jones's locker. Faker will take it. T1 will take the fight.
Mikyx is gone 6 feet under, but G2 cannot fathom how T1 have got in behind them so consistently. It was a delay played on the TP. It's a delay take on Mikyx because 50 seconds until Dragon will deny a lot of control to G2. But T1, again, these great teleport flanks for Zeus.
And even though that looks funny to follow him around, and Mikyx knows he's a dead man, it actually is strategically sound to delay the Nautilus death for a longer death timer there. So they actually even hurt them further, knowing that he is a dead man walking, chasing him around, but it's all about the teleport. And look at this setup as well, right before the tower goes down.
Yeah, he's BrokenBlade goes on towards Oner, but it's Faker as he starts to shove out to buy space as the Zeus TP comes in, and it's Hansam who's basically dead to rights as this play starts off.
The teleport flank gets right behind him. Their backline has to scramble. Both Hansama and Caps have nothing left here. Even though Oner fails to flash over the wall and isn't able to go get Caps, they do chase down Hansama, and the Dragon's Soul is theirs to set up. Wait, Zeus has hiding once again. Look at him.
You can see Mikyx only just getting up towards where the red buff is. The paranoia comes out. It's Guma that secures the Drake. They're looking up towards the top side. Zeus caught out with the paranoia, gets the counter strike, but there's the fear as well. The killing instinct coming in from Hansama as they look to catch out Zeus. The rest of T1 trying to come back to defend their top laner, but Zeus will be down before they can get there. G2 find one. They lost the Drake, they lost the soul, they go mid, Kobe. They can hear your call. G2 knocking on the doors of the Nexus now is T1 trying to defend.
Shockwave is still up and available for Caps. You have to be so careful as T1 as you try to defend this. How much do G2 want to try and take super minions on the top side as well?
It's so big. 3 inhibitors here. You're going to get... well, can they get 3?
Top just respawned as they were taking the second one, so it looks like it's only going to be 2. T1 able to hold on, not have those double supers pushing in every lane.
But Baron is still there, and if it's all inhibitors exposed, that could be the death knell for T1. G2 starting to move over. Zeus, 20-second death timer, no teleport.
It's so risky though, because you have no wards left for Mikyx. He puts this one control ward down. All Oner needs to do is get into this pit, and he might be able to snipe this away. The curtain's open. An encore for Gumayusi. Oner gets into it! And he takes it! Oner will pay the ultimate price for his ability to steal the Baron. He keeps T1 in the game, and G2 just couldn't dot their I's and cross their T's.
Oner has been a beast for T1 at this championship. Barely getting in over the wall, gets the smite, and G2 now, with that dead timer though, they want to try and end it. Zeus had pushed in mid with Gumayusi and Keria, so G2 trying to fight back against the Baron buff. They should be able to get another inhibitor for themselves, but T1, with that Baron buff, should be able to defend.
The tankiness the minions get from the Baron buff, they'll be spawning in a few seconds time for T1. There they are. They'll help them defend. Faker goes in. Death charge. Shockwave! There's 2 knocked up, but Zeus is already on the back line. The Gnar coming out from BrokenBlade as well. Zeus is doing so much work. Caps down. Hansama running for his life. Faker charms up BrokenBlade. Zeus is just ripping through G2. Faker survives on the backline. Yike trying to do everything he can. The paranoia will help him take out his enemy jungler. Hansama trying to survive here. Zeus has to call off the chase, but T1 once again hold on to the game.
Puma's going to chase them, but they're going to get out. At least 2 there survive for G2, but the defense from T1 at Nexus Tower, 4v5, they pull it off, they chase G2 out again.
Man, the tankiness on this Jax is insane. The Wit's End MR and also having that Abyssal Mask means that this primarily AP damage Kai'Sa cannot get through him. Caps cannot get through him. And because BrokenBlade is spending so much of his attention trying to buy space in this fight, there's just no one to take him down. But there, the steal, just barely able to get in towards the pit. And you'll see it here in the team fight, right? Faker goes in, good charm, the shockwave is great. But as BrokenBlade goes forward, it's Zeus who nobody can get through this health bar. This Kai'Sa relies primarily on the passive damage, but it's just not doing enough with this much MR on the Jax.
Yeah, the layering of the Leona ultimate into Zeus Jax jumping onto the backline there was so big, got them so much space. And then the chase down there as well, getting the extra couple ones. You can see how close they are to extending this series, but you're never fully there against T1 until you actually can blow up the Nexus. Here we go, though.
This flash as well. As you say, G2 looking for another push here. Hansama, Mikyx, and Caps pushing out that bot side. Can't see if Zeus has his teleport up. Faker does. Any flanking wards, G2 have to do their due diligence here and clear out as many as possible. Double supers pushing in for the next minute and a half for G2. Zeus, though, an absolute monster so far this series, continues to be a thorn in the side of the LAAAA #1 representatives.
Most painful thing for G2 is that they have to fight into this Mountain Soul. It's so difficult, the extra durability on T1. And T1 constantly, you're seeing that how much burst damage they can apply. Ooh. Faker here, swing and a miss though. That might be a nice opening. G2, again, double stacked up. Lines of super minions coming in. So much inevitable pressure. Look at top lane as well.
Faker is the charm, only onto Mikyx. Deadly Flourish will find him as well, but Mikyx tanky enough now, has the Night's Vow and the Locket. And those Merc Treads. Faker's going to deal with the push in the top side. His Spirit Rush will be back off cooldown, relatively shortish, because he has that Malignance. You can see already a quarter of the cooldown has gone down. Double Supers now, pushing in bot. Faker being met by BrokenBlade. Mikyx on that front line. Caps trying to do what he can here as well. The Nexus Towers are under siege from the super minions, but they've been cleared out. Oner charging up the Vault Breaker, looking for a little bit more. Doesn't go in. Hansama looking for those Void Seekers as well.
BB is half health though. Faker did a good job of chucking him out. Zeus now stepping forward. Nobody willing to hit him.
TP behind is Faker. He's looking for the Spirit Rushes up in a second's time. Faker's met by Yike. Mikyx on the front line. The Shockwave going out as well. BrokenBlade lands the Gnar, but doesn't get a stun onto anyone, and G2 disengage.
They're desperate to try and get anything here, but T1, they just cannot be fought back. The health bars are so good. The waves are still crushing in, but Zeus is standing tall, the difference maker for T1 once more.
Honestly, it is a slight, like, that's a mini win for G2, the teleport, because teleports are very big when Elder Dragon is coming back onto the map, you know, only 30 seconds. And while both inhibitors now here respawn for T1, and they kind of deal with that extra pressure from mid and bottom, they're still going to be forced into a situation here where G2 should be first to the objective, the biggest one on the map, the Elder Dragon, the evening factor.
The big thing for G2 as well is T1 haven't left their base in about 3 minutes time, so there's no deep wards possible unless Keria has snuck his way in behind somewhere. The hook's going to land onto Oner. They look for the engage. Oner now has to burn the flash. Zeus has his TP and he's going to match the supers pushing in the top side. G2 have control of the river right now. Solar player Hansama only slowed. But Caps is the one they dive into and immediately assassinate him. Caps is swimming with the fishes and Hansama is going to join him. T1 immediately pounce and G2 don't know what hit him.
T1 are forever clutch and G2 are finding out about it in the worst possible way. Zeus chasing down BrokenBlade as T1 turn towards the outer Yike. The last one was stolen. Can you find revenge?
A vision in the pit. Gumayusi trying to keep him at bay. No paranoia for Yike, but does have the flash. Guma will take the blast cone. Yike, can you do it? We saw you steal one versus Hanwha live. He puts the Dustbringer over the wall and immediately backs away. G2 have called, do not fight this fight. We can take the next. But the next will be versus a very scary T1, an Elder and a Baron buff.
And so little stands in the way of T1. Inhibitor turrets are the only thing blocking them in Europe against a double buffed up T1 that have been relentless at denying you in this game.
That was crazy. The face check there, then Oner flashes away and they use the blast cone to jump onto Caps' head. Even with these defensive items we keep pointing out for G2, the Guardian Angel and Sterix for Yike, the double Zonias for both Caps and Hansama, T1 just keep on assassinating them.
Yeah, we get to see it here. Oner flashes over the wall, and then as they start to step up again, I mean, they spot Caps for just a second there at the back, and it's the setup that they need. They follow up immediately, and they absolutely destroy the Orianna.
God, Oner is crazy. He's just done so much this game, you know, not to mention stealing away the Baron, but constantly good engages for them.
A minute left on the Elder Drake. 2:20 on the Baron. All three inhibitors stand for G2, but I don't think that's going to be the story in the next minute's time. T1 now advanced down mid lane, 5 strong. They have been for the last 2 years, looking to defend their world title.
A minute left on this Elder Dragon as well means that 2 more waves that you have to try and hold off. But I don't even know if you get that. Team 1 can just start to look at Nexus turrets off this wave.
It's got to be something miraculous. You've got a GA on Gumayusi, you've got Faker with the Spirit Rush, the curtain's open. I don't think G2 is getting a second act. The dive onto the backline by Yike, but immediately he is low. Caps already assassinated on the back, and T1 are just ripping them to shreds. T1 absolutely melting G2 under their Nexus towers. History doesn't repeat itself, but it damn well rhymes. It's another Friday, it's another T1 win.
Monumental stuff from T1. The incredible performance from Zeus in game 1, showcasing how good their team fighting is. into some of the most clutch after clutch after clutch plays to bring the 2-0 win against G2.
T1 are such a hard team to finish off in any game.
That they are. T1 advancing to the quarterfinals. We're going to hand it over to the analyst desk before we get into the second series of the day.
This is exactly why we were so excited to see this matchup. Not because G2 lost, mind you, but because of how these games can play out and how if you put T1 with their backs against the wall, they will find solution after solution to knock you down. And you have to be pixel perfect. It is what we've seen from T1 versus G2 all year. And I'm not excited about it. I'm actually really sad about it. But I'm happy for the side of T1 and the side of Faker. He now has 100 Worlds wins with this one. And we gotta say, he was instrumental once again with the flanks in this one.
Yeah, the Ahri pick has been great for him. He's looked great at this Worlds, again, coming from domestic performance to here. He's looked way more comfortable. The thing that stuns me is not that, obviously, I know that T1 are very capable of running high execution compositions, but again, I cannot stress enough the glow up from qualifying to regionals to fighting back in these team fights. Oner on the
my God.
Insane.
Crazy. He was crazy. This man, other people spend their lives trying to get a trophy, but he lifts them like Skittles as we head over to the Verizon post-game interview. Oh, I just tossed an interview, but I'll do it again. It's Zeus for the Verizon post-game interview. Oh, not ready yet? We'll see. Okay, I think we're gonna reset. It happened to me before. We gotta sync it. We gotta sync it with everyone around the world. Hence, it needs to be pixel perfect.
Everybody needs to hear what that man in top lane has to say, and it's fair. We saw the Gragas. The Jack started a bit rougher, but rounded out incredibly well. That T1 topside is,
it's so terrifying.
As an EU pundit, infuriating.
We are going to the interview now. So Zeus in the Verizon post-game interview, standing by with Lore for real this time.
Welcome back to the stage for this interview with Zeus after a commanding performance from T1 against G2 Esports. I have Jason, of course, to help me with the translator. Songri 축하드립니다. Thank you so much for joining me after this series. 2-0. I feel like everyone was hyped about this matchup. People even talk about a rivalry between G2 and T1. Would you say that it's a rivalry, and what was the excitement for you guys playing against them?
오늘 많은 분들이 정말 기대한 경기였는데 2대0 깔끔하게 승리하셨습니다. 또 이제 많은 팬분들이 T1, G2, G2, T1의 라이벌리에도 관심 많이 갖고 계신데 제우스 선수도 양팀 간의 라이벌리가 존재한다고 생각하시는지 그리고 오늘 경기 많이 기대하고 오셨나요?
일단 G2가 19년도에 T1을 떨어뜨리기도 했고 그래서 저도 항상 복수한다는 마음가짐으로 임하는 것 같고요. 그리고 확실히 대회에서 좀 더 뭔가 말하지 못할 그런 마력 같은 게 있는 것 같아서 까다로운 것 같습니다.
Well, G2 knocked T1 out in 2019, so I was coming here looking for a revenge here. And G2, every time, there's something with them that I cannot really put in words, but something makes it really difficult to play against.
It is always a special matchup for you guys and for the fans. Zeus, how would you rate your performance today?
오늘 본인의 경기력은 어떻게 평가하고 싶으신가요?
사실 요새 탑라이너가 경기력을 보여줄 만한 게 교전이랑 한타 정도가 좀 많은 것 같은데 좀 교전이나 한타에서 아쉬운 부분이 많았던 것 같고 그리고 뭐랄까 두 판 다 초중반에 좀 더 이득 볼 수 있었을 것 같은데 잘 안 돼서 그걸 좀 팀적으로 다시 돌려봐야 될 것 같습니다.
These days, all top laners can kind of display and showcase as skirmish and team fights, but today I feel like in both games, my team fights and skirmishes were not ideal. I think I left a lot to be desired, so I think I have to work on it. And also in both games as well, I think we could have pushed a little further in the early games, so I think as a team we have to rewatch the VODs and talk about it.
I see. It is interesting given the fact that people talk about T1 at Worlds, regardless of the fact that playoffs were not the greatest for you guys. You always show up at Worlds. You always defy the expectations. Do you feel like Worlds is special for you? And how do you explain the fact that you always can bounce back?
그리고 많은 분들이 T1에 대해서 이야기할 때 사실은 뭐 정규 시즌이나 플레이오프에서 최고의 기량을 보여주지 못했더라도 월즈만 오면 정말 다시 한번 회복해서 정말 표현할 수 없는 그런 슈퍼 파워를 보여주면서 놀라운 경기력을 보여주시는데 월즈에서 T1은 언제나 이런 특별한 힘을 갖는다고 생각하시는지 그리고 언제나 이렇게 바운스백 할 수 있는 원동력은 무엇이라고 생각하시나요?
일단 정규나 시즌에서 좀 안 좋은 모습을 보였던 거는 여러 이유가 있고 그냥 좀 안 좋은 것들도 많이 겹쳤다고 생각해서 아무래도 선수들도 좀 그럴 때는 잘 넘겨서 그냥 롤드컵 때는 진짜 전력을 다할 수 있는 환경도 갖춰져 있고 다들 선수들도 엄청 치열하게 얘기하면서 잘 하기 때문에 더 그런 것 같아요.
Yeah, sometimes we have some like bad things happening throughout the regular season. Same thing happened this season as well. I think it was a collaboration of everything really bad for us, but we all know that we can just move on and also focus on Worlds entirely. So we were able to give our all here, and we always have a lot of communication about it.
And focusing on Worlds and the next step, we will see you guys in the next stage. Last year was about being the last seed of the LCK, fighting in Keria to finally get the victory. What is this Worlds about for you personally?
이제 8강에 진출하셨고 작년 서사는 이제 T1이 유일하게 남은 LCK 이제 팀으로서 4강부터 달려나가는 그런 이야기가 있었잖아요. 올해는 T1 어떤 서사를 또 그리고 있을까요?
일단 서사는 사실 그냥 열심히 살다 보면은 팬분들이나 아니면 환경이 잘 만들어 주시는 것 같고요. 중요한 거는 이제 사실 강한 팀이 워낙 많다 보니까 사실 누굴 만나도 다들 너무 경계가 많이 되는 것 같고 개인적으로도 질 뻔한 경기도 꽤 있었다고 상황을 좀 있었다고 생각해서 좀 잘 보완해야 될 것 같습니다.
I mean, storylines, narratives are not something that we write, you know?
Course.
It's going to be completed once we just do our best, and it's going to be completed by the fans and, you know, by the environment. So we're just going to keep on focusing our own performance, and I think there were a lot of moments where we almost lost the games as well throughout the run so far, so I think we still have to do our best.
Let's write a new page in history then. 인터뷰 감사합니다. Thank you so much, Zeus. Thank you so much, Jhin, for the translation as well. And T1's advance to the next round.
Let's go, Yike! Fnatic, let's go! Lift the trophy!
Let's go, Genji! This is yours!
하나 세 명 화이팅! 우승해주세요!
Giant TS, let's win it all! Let's go, G2, this is yours!
T1 fighting, let's do it again.
Let's go, top Esports! Let's get it! Let's go, Fnatic! Let's win it all!
Red Bull gives you wings.
And if you're wondering why I move the way I do, I just feel so good, good.